Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road. Are you ready to go? Hey, thanks everybody for joining us today on Live Music Nation podcast. I'm your host, Jake Gill. Today we're with Evan Hull, Macon County Fair, Illinois. Evan, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having us, Jake. Anytime we get an opportunity to talk about our county fair, just happy to be here.
County fairs really are the background and the backbone for a lot of communities. Evan, give us a little background on you. Where'd you grow up, and talk a little bit about your career and your involvement with the fair.
Absolutely. So, of course, my name's Evan Hall. I grew up in a small town, Warrensburg, Illinois, which is here in rural Macon County. I've been around the fair my entire life. I showed livestock there. I grew up on a small farm here. Today, I'm the vice president of First Mid Insurance Group, which is here in Decatur, Illinois. But also in my family business now, which is an auction business and farm about 100 acres here. So, agriculture is part of our roots, as it is for most people.
Baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine and an old dirt road. Are you ready to go?
I think a lot of county fairs have gotten away from that agricultural. And so that's something that we've taken a lot of time to try to, one, educate our community about agriculture, and two, promote our local agriculture. And so that's just kind of what's part of our roots of the fair.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things that we found in these conversations is that one of the side effects of COVID is that we've actually seen urban youth become more involved in 4-H through their families, just because of maybe the potential for future food shortages and different things like that.
Right.
More people are planting their gardens, more people are raising their own beef as it goes through there. So that's kind of interesting. What do you enjoy the most about your position with the county fair?
Well, for me, it's got to be Fair Week, and the thing that I enjoyed most when I was a kid was showing livestock, and I think the thing that I enjoy most today is being around those livestock shows. I'm also the superintendent of the harness racing or the standardbred racing. We've got a rich history of that here in Macon County. So our fair is actually 167 years old. We're tied in Illinois with another fair. They are the longest continuously running. They've got us beat by a couple of years there, but we are just as old. And so, with that much history, there's a sentimental value, I think, that comes to the fair. So besides just, being around those livestock shows, everybody I talk to, they have a personal memory. Oh, my grandparents took me to the fair. Oh, I went with my dad. Oh, I showed hogs, whatever it is. And I do too. And I feel like that we would be robbing the next generation of their opportunity to have those same memories if we don't keep this tradition alive. And so that's really why we put all the time and effort into it. But it's a tough thing to do in this day and age, especially like we talked about. We got a big job because people really don't know where their food comes from. They don't know the first thing about agriculture, and that's really how I think county fair should be deployed.
So what does your fair look like? Give us a visual.
So we're running 5 days this year. Our fair, we're on a 60-acre campus. We've got what we call the fastest track in Illinois. It's a half-mile track with a large grandstand right in the middle of the fairgrounds. That's where the harness racing happens. Like I said, we got a rich history with that. On the west side of the fairgrounds, we've got the standardbred barns, of course, for horses and those stables. The east side of the grounds is all of our livestock barns, as well as we've got an Ag Expo building, an antique tractor building. We've got a building for commercial vendors. And the thing that really keeps our particular county fair relevant and keeps it going is that we have what's called the Pride of the Prairie Center, which is it's our bingo hall. And so 3 times a week there's bingo that happens and raffles, and that's really kind of what pays the bills and keeps the fair going, because it is outrageously expensive to keep up a 60-acre campus. And keep it going, as you can imagine.
So is it a free fair, or are certain events ticketed?
So there are certain events that are ticketed. So there is basically a gate entry price to get into the fair. Obviously, just as expensive as it is to have rides and pay those massive power bills and to pay for all the insurance and things like that, it does cost. But, we try to keep our ticket prices minimal. So you pay at the gate to get in. And then if you want to see a grandstand show, such as we've got an excellent rodeo that gets points to go to the PBR, we've got truck and tractor pulls, all those types of things. There is ticket prices for that, but we try to keep those caps somewhere around that $15 mark, so that, if your whole family shows up, you could go to the fair, enjoy it, have a meal, and spend, maybe $100 or less. So cheapest vacation you can get in the summer is kind of the way.
There you go. Yeah, that's the way it should be, for sure. I know for a lot of farm families and ag families, it really is the only time that they can get away during the summer. They work a little bit during the day and go to the fair at night. It really is for some of those youngsters, it is their only vacation. To go through there. So yeah, very cool. Okay, a couple fun questions here, Evan, with you. In your lifetime, what's the best concert you've ever seen?
Oh, that's tough. Boy, this really what catches me off guard. I think the thing that the concert that I liked the best was the time I got to shake hands with Luke Bryan. I think it was 2013 or maybe 2012. It was kind of early in his career when he still had kind of the early panache. But getting to shake hands with him and being that close, I think that's what did it for me, at that time.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. If you could bring any one artist to the Macon County Fair, dead or alive, who would you?
Oh, I know. So this one's kind of a loaded question for me. What we would like to do, and we've actually talked about this as supporters, we'd like to see some sort of a county fair centered 90s country themed, either a festival or a show. And so there's a number of artists that we'd like to have something like that. Now, this is a wish list kind of thing. Obviously, this is not something we can afford to do, but, if we could have your Neil McCoys and your Sammy Kershaws, Little Texas, and just, some of those groups who have some really iconic music. Number one, I'm glad to see that it's popular again in mainstream country music. But number two, I think that would just sell the heck out of tickets. You know what I mean? Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
So that's my answer.
Very good. Very good. Evan, how do people find out more about Macon County Fair?
Well, definitely come to our website, MaconCountyFair.com. Look us up, Macon County Fair, Decatur, Illinois, on Google. There's a number of things we do besides our fair, which is June 7th through 11th, 2023 this year. You can see our schedule. You can see we're going to have a lot more open shows and exhibits where people can show their own fruits and vegetables they grow, their own livestock, etc. It'll also talk about our grandstand events, but we also do things such as the Harvest Festival in October, which we have a haunted hayrack ride through all the barns. We had over 4,000 attendees for that. Things like the Farm Toy Show, which will be coming up in July, and a few of the new annual events that we work on adding every year.
Perfect. Evan Hall, Macon County Fair. Thanks for joining us on Live Music Nation podcast.
Thank you so much, Jake. Take care.
Yeah.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a bottle of wine.